Hello students, it is long time after which I am in front of the screen to discuss the next concept of organization behavior unit 2. Today I have ready with the new concept of group decision making. But just before that, let me tell you what you mean by decision making. Decision making is a crucial and important part of management, as you all know that in decision making, it is the procedure of choosing the best option or alternative which is widely available. Friends, as you all know that where there is single decision, single alternative, single option, probably there is no chance of decision making. When in order to solve any problem, when the chances of alternative chances of options are variant, chances of chances of choosing solving the issue would be the variants, then we can say it is highly necessary to choose each and every option and available alternatives individually. The more we evaluate, the more we study, the more we observe the available options, we can able to choose the best available option, so that this will lead to success. So decision making is nothing but that procedure where the decision maker may be a manager, may be a leader, may be an entrepreneur, who require to evaluate all the available options individually, categorically, in detail. It requires to be properly studied, understood and evaluated, and choosing the right, best, perfect option which lead to success or give right direction for any action. What we mean, that we mean the decision making. As far as business decision making is concerned, this is normally we understand by decision making. Business decision making is concerned, organizational decision making is concerned, there may be two types of decision making we find. First is individual decision making. Individual decision making. And second, it is group decision. What do you mean by individual decision making? Individual decision making, in the concept of individual decision making, there is solely one person, one individual required to take or choose the option, available options, and who will be solely responsible for the whole decision making. The failure and success both lies upon the quality of decision that individual takes. It is quite obvious in our day-to-day life, in our personal life, we are the sole decision maker. We are the sole individual who are responsible for our day-to-day decision making system and process. So I don't feel it is required to explain it well what you mean by individual decision making. In individual decision making, one individual predominantly take all the responsibility, all the burden to choose to take all the initiative in order to choose the right, in order to choose the required alternatives with or without evaluating all the available options. That is what we mean individual decision making. In organizational context, in business management, we find both individual decision making and group decision making. For individual decision making, hardly we find good positive outcome, as it has many lacunas, many disadvantages. So today's discussion is what is group decision making. Last class on the group dynamics, in last topic, I clearly explained what do you mean by group decision, group dynamics, where I told you about the procedure. Group dynamics is the procedure of how a group could be formed, operated, guided, structured in order to achieve a specific object. I told you group. What is group? Group is nothing but it's a process where two or more people getting together, having something common, a thought objective into their brain is known as group. So in group group dynamics, I discussed different form of groups, formal groups, informal groups, characteristics of formal group and characteristics, features of informal group, types of formal group and informal group. Detail. I don't want to just repeat all those things again today, but I can tell you in group decision making, it is that pattern of group dynamics where the group members, generally from 2 to 7, combinedly participate, understands, involves in order to decision making process of the organization or the group. So in group decision making, all the active group members will be responsible in the, so how they will remain responsible? They will remain responsible in the form of, you can say they remain responsible in the form of participation, understanding, interaction, discussion. They combine their ideas, thoughts, exchange their ideas and thoughts among themselves, and they reach to a end destination, they reach to a conclusion. So I think you now is very clear to you. The group decision making is that pattern, that technique where all the active group members, all the group members, active group members require to be understand all the probable options which can solve the organizational problem. So they require to categorically, combinedly, they require to categorically study and observe available alternatives. They use many techniques in order to evaluate all the available options and alternatives in detail. Then they arrange every alternative according to the probability and its weightage. Then after they choose, they find the best right alternative to solve the business problem or day-to-day problem. In other words, I can say in group decision making, group of individuals will responsible for taking their decision, business decision. So in group decision making, who is responsible? In group decision making, group members will remain responsible. Group members will remain responsible. In decision making, what is important? Discussion, interaction, and involvement. Are the major criteria in decision making process. Who responsible? Common responsibility. We find common responsibility in the decision making, in the group decision making process. And communication and sharing of information. Communication and sharing of information would be the major, you can say, criteria in order to judge the quality of decision making. So you can say we find very commonly this kind of decision making system, this kind of decision making process in organization. This is not a very unusual system of decision making. Rather, we can say it's a very commonly finding decision making system. So why this kind of decision making pattern has been adopted? Usually, in order to create a kind of sense of responsibility, in order to create sense of seriousness among employee, in order to create sense of belongingness among different group members into the group, and in order to create a leadership among all the members, usually this kind of decision making process usually being initiated by the organization. Many organizations, when the skill, a personal skill has been a key criteria, that those particular time also, instead of individual decision making, a group of experts have been initiated and imposed to use their skill efficiency in order to take the decision. The group decision making process has become a key criteria, and in those cases where the skill is highly necessary, challenging project has been improvised through this. So today I will explain what are the key advantages and disadvantages of this particular method of decision making process. As far as the advantages of on the other hand, you will not find this kind of group involvement is absent in individual decision making, where individual members' participation is there in individual decision making, discussion, interaction, involvement. Hardly you find, because the solely the leader or the group member or the leader or the entrepreneur, they are required to take. So he requires, if he is requisite enough, he possesses the great skill, knowledge, then the decision making process will be more efficient. Common responsibility is not functioning, individual responsibility related to the case of individual decision making, individual responsibility. And communication is not highly necessary in case of individual decision making, which is not a part of our course. I don't want to go in detail of individual decision making. Rather, I am discussing, I think, to understand what is group decision making process. Students, next it comes, what are the major advantages and disadvantages of group decision making. First advantage of group decision making. First is synergy. A great proverb is known, एक से बड़े दो, दो से बड़े पाँच, पाँच से बड़े दस. So it is very usually believed that doing as a whole, unity is the strength. doing as a whole will usually give some better strength than individual. So first it is that synergy. That is something what we mean. The group synergy usually contributes relatively higher, better as compared to the individual decision making. So in group decision making, there is a great deal of discussion, great deal of interaction, great deal of exchange of information, great deal of, you can say, questioning, evaluating, you can say a recommendation would be offered. As a result, each and every negative points, each and every weaknesses of any decision making process could be easily separated. So the synergy would be very good if we will go to group decision making instead of the individual decision making. Next it is sharing of information and communication. Sharing of information and communication. As all we know that one person may not be mastering everything, every subject, every aspect. There may be group of people, those who are having a strength, having a great deal of knowledge in different areas, in different fields. So in that case, whenever any decision making process require great deal of information and require great deal of knowledge and intelligence, so group decision making process will be a vital one to respond. Why, you know? Because in this case, the sharing of information, whoever is having a better knowledge, higher knowledge, they may share their knowledge among themselves. As a result, the overall solution will be more weightage as compared to individual decision. So, sharing of information in the form of interaction, in the form of exchanging of ideas, thoughts would be a perfect, you can say, solution. Would be a give birth of a perfect solution. So you can say where the communication system acts as a key role. So particularly in the organizational structure, in the organizational perspective, you will see sharing of information and communication, you can say, acts as a key role in the decision making process. So whenever the decision making process requires sharing of information, instead of using one brain, one idea, one thought to solve it, when it fails, sharing of information among different group members, different experts, or expertise knowledge among them, discussing among them, which will create a great clarification, great thought, you can say improvisation, you can say a great sort of delivering to a great form of result could be a matter in case of group decision making. Similarly, there are certain disadvantages. First, it is diffusion of responsibility. Disadvantage. Diffusion of responsibility. Diffusion of responsibility. What do you mean by diffusion of responsibility? Whenever where there is no individual, single individual takes decision, in case the group fails or the decision making process fails, same time accountability no one may take. It means yes, the group decision making process has been consulted, has been taken unanimously by all the group members. Every group members contributes for the solving of the issue. So you will not find one individual who will take responsibility in case the group fails. So absence of accountability leads to diffusion of responsibility. So you will not find a person, one person or a specific person in a group decision making where the group fails. So group decision making could be criticized in case when the group fails into you can say reaching to any of the group decision making. Next it is lacking efficiency. So where efficiency counts, efficiency definitely count where there is an individual decision making process. So when the individual decision making process occurs, one individual free to use his skill, knowledge, efficiency openly, and he is free to choose decision without any pressure. But in case of group decision making, we will not find people, those who possess skill, knowledge, they can't use it 100% because of influence of other members in the group. So you can say that it is highly difficult for every member to contribute positively equally in the group decision making because of the involvement of every member. So efficiency cannot be maintained up to that standard as compared to individual decision making. Last but not least, that is group thinking. Group thinking. So whenever we talk about, it's a very vital or very common disadvantage in group decision making. You will find this kind of, what is group thinking? Group thinking means when every group members reach to the same conclusion. That is group thinking. So in order to, in order to reach to a common destination, every individual will try in order to achieve the harmony, cooperation, they compromise. Although they don't want, but they will agree for the sake of the harmony, for the sake of group think. Our group thinks, so I think. So this every time may not lead to success. So group harmony may probably lead to greater teamwork, but group harmony every time not lead to proper right group decision making. So that group think sometimes leads to a wrong decision making, and the decision making process is not accepted or not positively connected as compared to individual decision. This is what we are all about. What is group decision making, group decision making, and advantage and disadvantage. Next class, I will tell you what are the technique the group members uses in order to take the decision.